The memory of his father, Li Xin, the revered patriarch of the martial Li clan, remained painfully clear. In his final moments, a single question lingered in his mind. "Father, why did you die so young?" The image of Butler Choi standing faithfully at the patriarch's side slowly dissolved as awareness fully returned. He stared down at his hands, small, frail, unfamiliar. A silent scream of disbelief echoed in his thoughts. "These are my hands." Panic surged as he began crying helplessly from within a crib. "I should be dead. Is this the afterlife? Or some twisted replay of the past?" The world around him felt distant, warped by shock and confusion. Then he overheard his father's voice, deepening his unease. "Young would be a suitable childhood name," Li Xin declared calmly. "As with the others, assign him a maid and several guards." What followed sent a chill through him. "He will attend the steel selection ritual alongside the 8th child." The butler gasped, unable to hide his concern. "At once? He's far too young, my lord. The 8th young miss is still several months older." Li Xin's gaze hardened, silencing any further protest. "It makes no difference." As the patriarch turned away, his words settled heavily over the infant now known as Li Young. Once again, he was left alone, the weight of his father's merciless command lingering in the still room. A dreadful realization took hold. This isn't a flashback. The order echoed relentlessly in his mind, a promise of an unavoidable ordeal. The steel selection ritual. Slowly, a faint smile crept across his infant face as his tiny hand clenched with resolve. Fear faded, replaced by icy determination. This rebirth was not a curse. It was an unforeseen chance. Months passed in his new life. At last, the long-awaited day arrived, the martial Li clan's most sacred event. The air vibrated with excitement as crowds gathered. The steel selection ritual had begun, a revered ceremony where the clan's children revealed their innate potential and were chosen by the legendary weapons destined to define their future. His father, chosen by dozens of blades, had risen to become the greatest swordsman of his era, a living legend within the clan. His eldest brother, selected by swords, grimoires, and a staff, had earned fame for unmatched sword skill and overwhelming magical power. Now, it was his turn. Wrapped in stiff, ceremonial garments that felt foreign and restrictive, he sat quietly, waiting for the ritual to begin. His handmaid, Manhwa, beamed at him. "Oh, our young master looks so handsome," she said warmly. "He's not even crying. How grown-up of him." She lifted him into her arms, her voice filled with sincere optimism. "I'm certain you will receive a wonderful result. Your future is bound to shine." Her gentle care stood in sharp contrast to the emotional distance of his family. He remembered her clearly from his previous life. She was the only one who had never looked down on him. Even when his brother's hostility had been unmistakable, she had defended him, remaining at his side no matter what. A real smile formed on his lips. In this life, he would protect her. He wrapped his arms around her in return, savoring the rare warmth of affection. Butler Choi's voice cut in, formal and composed. "Young master, everything is prepared." Manhwa glanced down at the infant in her arms and asked softly, "Shall we go?" Elsewhere, a servant bowed deeply before Li Xin. "Patriarch, the arrangements are complete." Li Xin stood, his presence solemn and authoritative. "Then let us proceed." The procession moved forward, a grave march of attendants led by the imposing patriarch. Manhwa held Li Young close as they advanced toward the grand arena. Inside, the vast space was packed with spectators. The patriarch stepped ahead, accompanied by two handmaids, each carrying one of the clan's youngest heirs. Every gaze followed them, including those of the clan's most powerful figures. The matriarch, the minister, and his ambitious elder brothers watched from their seats of honor. The clan minister, Li Zhang, frowned thoughtfully. "I don't recall any of us undergoing the ritual at such an age," he murmured. The eldest child, Li Miang, offered a faint smile toward his younger siblings. "Isn't that right, Gunsong?" he said, his voice tinged with quiet amusement. The third child, Li Gunsong, responded with a low grunt, his face giving nothing away. "Yeah, I suppose." His narrowed gaze settled on the infant, Li Young. "I don't even know where he came from," he thought, a spark of cruel curiosity glinting in his eyes. "Interesting." A thunderous voice echoed through the arena. "Let the steel selection ritual begin." The patriarch raised his hand and issued the first order. "Bring Hua forward." A handmaid stepped ahead, presenting the eighth child, a baby girl named Liwa. The patriarch accepted her carefully into his arms. With a small, sharp blade, Li Shin pricked her finger. As a single drop of blood fell, Liwa began to cry. Then a radiant blue light burst from her tiny hand. Streams of dazzling energy streaked across the arena, all converging upon a single weapon. A collective gasp swept through the crowd. It was a relic blade of the highest rank, the ivory sword. The ivory sword tore free from its stand and flew straight into the patriarch's waiting hand. The ritual was an overwhelming success. Li Shin's voice rang out, firm and absolute. "From this day forward, the ivory sword belongs to Hua." Cradling the now sleeping child, pride softened his stern features. The arena erupted in applause as spectators congratulated the matriarch on yet another prodigy born into the family. "Thank you," said Baekwan, her smile composed and victorious. The patriarch raised his voice once more, silencing the crowd. "Next, Young's ritual shall begin." A heavy stillness fell over the arena. Murmurs rippled through the audience as the illegitimate child was brought forward. The patriarch took the infant from the maid and placed him gently upon the cold stone pedestal. As he lifted the blade toward the child's finger, Li Young met his father's gaze. He didn't flinch. For a brief instant, a trace of pride softened his father's rigid expression, and the patriarch gently patted the boy's head. The blade sliced his skin, and a single drop of blood splashed onto the ancient stone. Li Young extended his hand, as a faint blue glow began to throb at his fingertips, the ritual's magic awakening.